Hello everyone, welcome back and hope you guys are doing well. In my today's video, I'm going to discuss with you about a company called Purple United Sales Limited. They recently came up with their, IPO. So we'll go through their recent result, we'll go through the con call summary and what the management said, all the most important things which I will share it with you. But before we get into that, let's just understand what does the company does, right? And I'll keep it in a very short and a simple way. So they are into retailing where they sell clothes, footwears, and accessories from the age of 0 till 14, right? So if you go into their shop, you can buy anything from infant to toddlers to the kids up to the age of 14, and they serve both the genders, whether it is boy or a goal. So that is one thing. And the other way they differentiate themselves from others is, right, they are into premium category. So they are into not, value segment, but they are into premium category. So that is their main business model. Just understand that, right? And obviously they sell their product through their retail store, through distribution, through e-commerce, through all these models that they sell their products. And if you look at their recent numbers, right, the YY revenue increased by almost 51% to 110 crores, and PAT was up by almost 41% to 10 crores. And if you look for the whole year revenue, it increased by almost 65% to 117 crores. And PAT was up by almost 45% to 15 crores. Over here, if you look from the margin perspective, right, the EBITDA margin improved by 1% to 21%. But if you look at the PAT margin, it actually decreased by 1% to, it came down to around 9%. So over here, you might be wondering, Masood, EBITDA margin improved, then how come PAT margin declined, right? So this is where we need to look into detail and ask the right questions, right? If we look for Purple United sales, right, over here, this happened because the amount for depreciation increased by almost 254% compared to the last year, which amounted to around 6.4 crores. And the reason it happened is, right, because the number of stores that they have opened, right? So they literally doubled their store compared to the last year. At the back of it, they had to provide for more depreciation, even though in the real life term, the cash never went out, but in terms of accounting, they had to provide for it as per the rule. So that is one of the reasons. So it's actually not a bad sign, but a good sign, because we know that once these stores mature, they will even provide more revenue. So just one thing I want to tell you guys, right? Whenever you are analyzing any companies, right? Whenever you see a decline in the margin, you need to ask the right question. What is the reason for decline, right? Just looking at the decline of margin, you cannot say that the company is bad. We need to dig deeper and understand why the margins have declined. If the margins have declined for the right reason, like because they are expanding, they are growing, more depreciation is happening at the back of it, then it's okay, because we know that over the time, the benefit will come in later. But if the margins are declining because the sales are increasing, you cannot increase the price, you have to send more on discount, then it becomes a problem for the company and one should avoid it. So just keep that in mind, right? So and if you look at their presence, right, so they sell their products in retail through their EBOs, which is exclusive brand outlets, and almost 25% of their outlets are in mall, and 75% of their outlet they've opened is in high street. Then obviously they sell online via their own website and mobile app. At the same time, the other direct to customer websites like Mintra, Amazon, and all those stuff. And then obviously they sell their product through distribution channel and through their key clients, like such as Reliance Trends and all those things. And if you look from the contribution perspective, revenue contribution perspective, right? If you look at their segment, because they sell footwear, and accessories and apparel, right? So the footwear and accessories contributed to around 36% of the revenue. Apparel contributed to around 64% of the revenue. And if you look in the terms of repeat customers, right, the number is quite decent. Almost 26% of the customers are repeat. So which is actually quite a good sign. That means the customers who come to their stores, they like their product, and that's why they are coming back. So those are all good things, right? But one of the important things, right, we need to see what the company is doing to grow their revenue, and improve their margins, and that is one of the most important things. Because see, in stock market, the share prices follow what the company does. It might not happen right now, but over the period of time, how well the company does, the share price will automatically follow. So over here also, right, we have to see the company is quite small, right? What are they doing, trying to do to grow? So only if they grow their revenue, their profits, their margin, then only the shareholders will be rewarded, right? So if you look at it in FY26, the last year they passed, they increased their number of stores from 43 to 111. That is almost like 100% increase in the store. And if you look at the same store sales growth number, that is quite crazy. The old store before, earlier they used to generate a revenue of 4 lakhs per month in FY25. But as they have matured in FY26, they alone generated a revenue of 9 lakhs per month. So that is almost a growth of close to 100% in the same store. So there is definitely a huge opportunity, because the stores which they have opened this year, right, will only get better and mature in the coming year and the next year. So we have to look at this number. And if you look, okay, so this is the number of stores that they added for the last year. That is great. So what are they doing for FY27? So the management clearly said that they want to double their number of stores. So they want to increase the number of stores to 200 plus. So which is actually quite a good sign if you actually see. And then we have to see whether they're able to execute or not. And obviously for this you require money, to open new stores and everything. So the management said that they're going to, fund this expansion via debt and via dilution of equity. So those are the two options that they have kept it open. And whenever it's required, they will inform the shareholders whether they are raising it through debt or whether they are going to dilute the equity. And the other thing what the management said, right, that they're concentrating mainly on footwear categories. And the main reason is why, right? Because as per their analysis and as per their research, they do not see any well-established brands for, children's footwear at all. So they are trying to create a niche for themselves and, target this market and create a name for themselves. So that is one thing that they're doing. And the other thing which has happened for them, which is, help improve their margin as well as in the future also is, right. If you look at their retail contribution, right, the retail contribution has overall grown to 40% of the revenue. And if you look for this year alone, right, the retail contribution jumped by almost 70% compared to the last year. And what they are trying to do, right, from the overall distribution model, which is their retail, which is EBO, through online, through distribution, and through key clients, they want to, going forward in the coming years, they want to ensure that majority of their revenue comes from the retail side, from their own exclusive brand outlet. And one of the reason is why is, right, because see, when you sell your product in your own store, you can get a better margin. But if you're selling your product via online, you have to pay them certain commission. If you're giving it to other retailers, you have to give them certain commission, right? So the margin gets slightly impacted. But if you are able to sell your product from your own store, then you have a better control over the margin. And if the company is able to, ensure that the retail contribution is two-thirds of the business in the coming years, right, that is going to be a really good sign, not just for the revenue side, but also on the margin sides. And that's how they can get margin expansion. And if you look from the revenue guidance, right, management never gave any profit guidance, but in terms of revenue, management is so confident that they're saying for the next 2 years, they can easily grow their revenue by 100%, 100% each year. So, which is crazy, right? Because if you look at their revenue for this year, it is around 170 crores. 100%, it could be next year 340 crores. And if we take it to FY 28, right, it could become to six. If I'm correct, yeah, 680 crores, right? That is almost, the revenue increasing by almost close to, if we take from the current number, it will increase by almost 4 to 5%. And if they are able to do that, right, and at the same time expand their margin, right, it's going to be a great thing of what they'll be able to do. And the management will obviously create a name for themselves. And if we look from the valuation perspective, be very honest, if you look from the growth, what you're paying right now for the growth which you're getting in the coming years, right? It's actually available at a peg ratio of 0.25%, which is it's which is quite cheap actually if you look at it, right? But we actually have to see again one thing, a company promising, management promising is one thing, but how they execute is another important thing. So that is one of the main things that anyone who is invested over here needs to keep an eye and and be very critical about it, because if they're not able to execute it, then it could be a problem. So I'll definitely keep an eye on this company. I'll definitely keep you guys posted when the results will come out in H1 of FY27. And if you like this analysis of this video, please do hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and God bless you.